Welcome to the recording. Um, I was mid-sentence, but all good. It allowed me to get my first Salesforce job, which I will have been at 2 years next month, which was very exciting.
Congratulations.
Um, Thank you. And I still actually meet with a mentor on about a monthly basis just to touch base and define my goals, figure out what the next steps are. Like I think Michael shared just now, who just got the admin cert. I'm always looking for the next cert, where to go with that, what's next, what can help improve, right? So the great thing about the Salesforce ecosystem is that we're never done learning. As you know, with every release, there are new things to know. And my mentor always says, if you've read the release notes, you know more than I do, which happens maybe half the time I'm able to do that. But so it's just a great ecosystem, and it's really just a great place to find mentors. And I'm so thankful that people like you guys exist, all of our mentors, and are willing to give back. I figure I would pass it to Anna first, and then we can go to Scott. Just your journey, how you got here, how you got into mentorship, because they are two of our stellar mentors that are on the platform. I watch their name come up constantly, so they've been great. So go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. I had this thought earlier today, and it made it all click, right? So I realized that there's two different kinds of people, and it starts with a grocery store, right? There's somebody that goes there and they're looking for the can of beans, and they're walking around the grocery store, and they're just, they're trying to find it. They're getting angry, and then they're spending all this time, and maybe they don't even find it, and then they just leave and they go home, and it's a horrible experience. And then there's the people that go in there and they're like, where's this can of beans? And then they ask somebody that works there, right? They ask for help. And now they're like, okay, can of beans? Maybe they're like, yes, I'm feeling great now. I'm going to buy some dessert at the counter and boom, great experience. Very similar to like how professional lives work, right? So at the end of the day, you still get the end result. You still get that can of beans, hopefully, if everything goes well. But you want to ask somebody for that help. There's a reason why grocery stores have clerks. It's the same thing why we have mentors in this ecosystem, because that way they've been there before. They save you that frustration, they save you that burnout, that it's less lonely too. And so, that's kind of what motivated me originally, as somebody that didn't really like. I did it the hard way. I did it all wrong. I failed. I cried. I did all those things, and it's like, okay, there's got to be an easier way. And so one of the first things I did was I wanted to help others. Like, I'm like, okay, don't do what I did. If nothing else, we get nothing else on this call, just don't do these 5 things and you'll be good to go. And as that relationship develops, I get to learn so much from mentees because they have a different perspective. I get to meet people from around the world that have a different, unique view on problems and things like that. And so, my journey here, started really early on with Talent Stacker. Being part of the mentorship program started, from day one. I was like, I can't believe this isn't available, and it's free. Like, nothing in life is free, especially when it has this much value. It's
Right.
absolutely crazy. And, coming full circle, nowadays, I got an opportunity to hire 2 people on my team, one 2 years ago and one now, and they were both from the Talent Stacker program. And so it's this perfect loop of like, it starts with, you know, I almost quoted Lincoln Park there. It starts with one thing, but it really does start with one thing, and it kind of goes full circle. And so that's been really my journey, and it's been amazing. I found so much value out of this. And I would just say, like, ask for the directions to the beans. At the end of the day, like, ask for those directions.
I love it. Do you want me to follow suit?
Go ahead.
Yep,
Yeah,
that'd
I'll
be
tell
great.
a little bit about my journey. So after I got my first admin, you're always curious to benchmark yourself. Like, hey, I passed the test, but how much do you really know? You have a little bit of imposter syndrome. You're like, well, I didn't get 100%, so do I know all the details? So I immediately said, oh, what am I going to do? So I went to online, found a community group. It was the DC group. And when I went down there, I met Pavali Agarwal. The group is fantastic. And her first advice to everybody is find your tribe, find mentors, find people that will lead you up. And I said, oh, that makes sense. She's a CEO and she's highly recommended. She normalized it right there. She says, I have 3 mentors myself, someone who's already been in my shoes. And I immediately looked for a mentorship opportunity. I got in one from Talent Stacker, and I was mentored for a while. And then I noticed that it wasn't actually, I think it was with Salesforce, and then that program kind of disappeared. And then when I saw that Talent Stacker was creating the Trailblazer Mentorship Program, I found so much value in it myself. And I knew that it goes both ways. It's all about perspective. When you mentor somebody, you gain a new lens. It's kind of like you see life a different way. You get to live that experience. And it is really powerful. And I think it's even getting to be more important in the AI world because our society is changing very quickly. Technology is coming at us faster than ever. And in order for you to keep the perspective of how it is impacting society, because it will literally change society itself, our own values. And so it's really valuable to get it from a mentor to say, hey, have you heard about this? Maybe you want to pivot a little bit more this way or that way. So it has just been phenomenal. I've mentored so many people and I've gotten so many opportunities to help in their lives, to get on podcasts. I'm even going to be doing a podcast at the end of this month with people in Nigeria. So it is just an incredible program. It will change your life. And I think there's two things I would advise people to do. Raise your hand, right? And get to some of those community events. And then number two, make sure that you are involved in a mentorship program. It is just phenomenal.
I love that. I think both of your points are just so true that one of the things that I was hoping to touch on, which you've already brought up, which is lovely, is what do you get really from being a mentor? Obviously, as a mentee, I know I come in with 100 questions and then I just ask you rapid fire the entire time we meet together. And then I leave and I have a list of things I can do to improve my odds of getting a job or a promotion or a raise. But then from the other side, from the other lens, what are you getting out of that experience? Which I think you've touched on, but if you wanted to expand a little bit at all.
Maybe I'll let Anna, if she wants to go first, and then I'll kind of piggyback on her. Anna?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's always different, right? So every time I go into a mentorship, it's something different, right? Sometimes it's just seeing somebody else's perspective, seeing other questions that they're not seeing that I haven't really thought about, right? I haven't crossed that particular bridge, but I've got the tools to be able to kind of, blaze that trail. Sometimes it's me finding advice is making me dig deeper to myself and dig deeper into the things that maybe I want to relive or revisit. And that's where I go, well, I won't ever give advice on something I won't do. That's my one rule, just kind of how I approach things. And I realize that like sometimes like I'll be in the same situation next week and it won't be 100% the same, but I can almost leverage my own advice to say, oh, I told Scott this last week and I better do the same thing, right? Because that's the right thing to do in this moment. And so for me, a lot of it is um, like looking in the mirror, right? Being able to say, okay, what did I learn? What did I give back? And how do I use this in my own life? Because again, you can't give advice to people and then not live it your own way. So that's kind of what I get out of it for sure.
I'm going to kind of piggyback on what she just said there. A lot of times when you are mentoring somebody, it's easy from the outside to give someone some advice. And that is the very same advice you would probably give to yourself, but not necessarily would you do it to yourself. Do you step out of that comfort zone and actually take your own advice? And a lot of times I've been in the same kind of thing. I think, oh, what would I tell somebody? What have I already seen that works? And then I said, yeah, I told them to take the step of faith and do this. And that's exactly what I need to do. I actually need to follow my own advice, muster up the courage, and make that bold move. I've seen it work before. So it's kind of like you're getting, for me, the lens of other people's lives and getting to see the different perspective of, what situations can come up. And then it's also getting to be it embolds you. It's each person that you see succeed yourself. You gave them advice and they succeed. It's like you've already climbed that hill and it's going to be easier for you to reclimb it again. It's just incredible.
I love that. So it feels like there's a bit of a feedback loop in that the situation I run into today could very well be a situation that you run into tomorrow. So I can also feel good that I've given you your answer for tomorrow, which I appreciate.
Absolutely.
That's so great. Thank you. Additionally, I think a lot of times when mentees will show up to a mentor meeting, they don't know where to start. I do have a list of 100 questions, and I don't know which one is the most important or the place to start or even where your expertise lies. Sometimes you know because, especially on our platform, you can list out what you can concentrate on, but other times there's just too many things to cover and frankly not enough time. How can I or anyone coming to their mentor be the best mentee for you? How can I bring you the best setup? How can I set us up for success? Is there anything you'd like me to do before I get there? During, after? Kind of what does that look like? What have your best stellar mentees done that you would say, I would love for everybody to do that?
I want to take this one, actually. A lot of times there's some people that rather than just bombard you with questions and they think that you're going to be able to just answer what search should I take next? Well, that kind of depends. I need a little understanding of who you are. So I've had a lot of different mentees that actually just kind of start out by introducing themselves. Tell me about their life. Tell me about their story. Tell me about their interest. All of those things I start to kind of build that whole scene and get that perspective. And then I can kind of, lead into some of those questions. But if you would say, hey, should I get the admin search? Should I go to get the AI? Well, kind of depends. I don't really know what we're talking about yet. Where you are right now, what's happening in your region, in your life, what's the link between, hey, you have a family member that's in a healthcare crisis, and maybe this is just going to be a natural pivot for you to do healthcare cloud next. So I love it when people start off by saying, hey, I want to introduce myself. It's about relationships, right? As a mentor. And you normally don't just go, I learned this when I go to New York City. They always say, don't just like run up and say, hey, where is Metro? Usually you say, hello, how are you? My name's Scott, right? Nice to meet you. The weather's nice. And then you ask a nice question. And I think the same thing should be done like when you get to mentor someone. Introduce yourself, tell a lot about you, and then start to ask the questions and build that relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. The biggest thing, Scott, I absolutely agree with that. So, and I kind of said it by myself. It's really come as you are, and I mean, we're all humans, right? There's a big part of this that we don't know, right? We don't know what your goals are, your aspirations, and who am I to just tell you go do something, right? I want to know why you wake up in the morning, and where are you, like, why are you here, and that's a really important part of it because that's how you actually give advice. It's not a one size fits all type of scenario where you can just say, yep, get this, sir, and you're going to get this next, and this is how you go. Careers are not very linear, right? And people's goals change, people's lives change. And if I would say come as you are and do whatever prep you can, but sometimes people focus on like too much analysis and then they get then analysis by paralysis, right? They get too scared, they don't know what to come with. Some of my best mentees came with nothing other than just their story. And if you come in with just that, that's a great starting point.
I have another also little part I want to put on there. I find that humans are complicated. Humans are tricky. It's really very tricky to understand people, what they tell you they want, their subconscious needs. And you really can't use AI to really understand humans. You need other humans to actually help you with their experiences that they've had to understand like what's really going on here. What maybe they're saying one thing, but they mean a different thing. And those experiences throughout a lifetime help us all to navigate this world of living amongst humans. There's a lot of nuances. I find that technology, yeah, it's pretty cut and dry. You can learn a lot and study it, but understanding relationships, we've all been through a lot of them. And I think they're very complicated. So
Absolutely. I think those are great answers. I love come as you are and just tell your story and then we'll figure out the direction together, it kind of sounds like, which is so wonderful. With that kind of, how do you like to structure your mentorship relationship, I guess we can call it? A mentee comes to you, and in the first meeting, I'm going to make an assumption that maybe it is more of that storytelling, and this is who I am and where I would think I want to go. And we do active listening and figure out if that's really true. So what does that look like for you? I know for us on the Trailblazer Mentorship Platform, we suggest maybe 4 meetings over the course of a month. I have personally had a mentor for a few years at this point. I know the relationship can last for a very long time if it's a good fit. So kind of what does that look like for you?
I'll take
Anna,
that
do you
one.
go first? Yeah,
Uh, so I would say first call is always the story. And I like to give a little bit of homework. It's not anything crazy. It's just, I want to make sure that you're doing some action, right? Advice is only as good as somebody executing on it, right? And so I like to have it very pressure free because I don't know what your life is outside of this. Everyone has families and other responsibilities. And the worst thing I could do is add pressure. So what I like to do is I like to give them a little bit of a homework, just one small thing, for example, focus on LinkedIn, or hey, go do this trailhead badge, and just show me that you're willing to do the next thing. And then I
Right.
say, you know, schedule me next time, like when you're done with this, right? So whenever they're done with it, it could be tomorrow. And then that's great. It could just be next week. And so that way it shows the cadence of which they want to complete whatever little assignment that is. And that also builds trust too. Then on our next call, we talk about how's your experience with that? What did you run into? And so now we're spending time building those blocks up. And the next assignment's a little bit harder, a little bit more challenging. Maybe it's now look at your portfolio, things like that. Natural progression of give and take, right? Apply what we've talked about here. Let me know if you get stuck. Let's revisit that.
I think mine is very similar to her, where I always end with homework, but I usually always start after I really get to know them. I say, hey, we're just here for us to learn together. I'm not going to actually tell you exactly what to do. What I want to do is I want to bring out the right questions for you to discover where your path is, because everybody has a unique path. Everybody has a different goal in mind, and not necessarily do they know it right away. So I find a lot of people and they say, hey, should I do this search or this search? I say, well, let's kind of explore that. Let me give you a little assignment. And I literally say, why don't you do this little module on Trailhead on, let's say, Healthcare Cloud, and maybe this one here on AI. And then why don't you then take some time and think about it, and then we'll get back together and we can reflect and decide what you're going to do next. So it's usually not so much. I think a lot of people are surprised when I say, like, I'm not going to tell you the answer. I don't know everybody's answer, but I do know how to explore it with you, and we can find it together. I'll use my wisdom, to weigh in and kind of guide, and I'll definitely recommend resources, connect you to people, but I'm not going to just tell you what you should do, because your future and your path is like, it's a big decision, and that's only something that can be decided by you.
That is such great advice. And it sounds like really you, besides maybe the first meeting of tell me about yourself, I was thinking like, oh, can you, tell us what you would give advice for a mentee? And it sounds like it's very personal depending on where that conversation goes, that you don't give blanket advice, which is so wonderful to hear as one singular mentee who's had one singular mentor. I, I'm not hearing the same thing as everybody else. So it's just wonderful for you to
I,
share that. I think it's a different perspective we get.
I bet Anna would totally agree. There has never been a time that I've given the same advice to two people. I mean, even if their question is almost identical, their experiences and their perspective on life is completely different. So sometimes my next best advice is to do this. And sometimes I'd say, no, you have amazing soft skills that I've never seen before, and you
Mm,
probably want to really go that path. I mean, it's just always different.
Mhm.
yeah, no, that's fantastic. Awesome. We've been talking a lot about what to do inside of the mentorship relationship. Once you have a mentor, how to get that started. But that always leaves the question of how do I get there? And obviously, we have a fantastic platform, Trailblazer Mentorship, where you two are both wonderful mentors for us. But before that existed, the advice was still go find a mentor if you can. So can you kind of give some ideas of how to find a mentor outside of that platform? I, again, as the back end, would love to accept everyone and every time, but we are constantly flooded with applications, which is also wonderful. And we just can't accept everyone. So if by chance you're still on the wait list, where else could I go to find a mentor, to find someone to get this awesome advice?
I'll take that one. I think a lot of times you'll be surprised to know that everybody at every level, I think it's a human instinct that we want to help people. Everybody is basically a teacher. So you could have Mark Benioff, and I personally got to meet him and I watched him, and he literally was happy. He did all the different interviews for the news broadcast, and then he carved out like 45 minutes, and different trailblazers just got to talk to him and ask some questions. It's something that is unique about humans, that we want to pull lift people up to share our knowledge. And I think, that's something you should think about. And then just look for somebody, whoever it could be. It could be a CEO, it could be someone, a LinkedIn, person that you really like, and just reach out and say, hey, I would really like to have a chance to talk to you. And if you guys have natural synergy, you respect their time. And I think a part that's really important is when you gain value, let them be part of your journey, because there's an exchange of value there, right? You're asking for advice, but then they're also getting the experience. They're getting the go on the journey with you. They're getting the reward of seeing, hey, we did this together. I told you they're the admin, you passed, and they're literally going to celebrate with you. So allow them to have that moment, and just kind of reach out to people. Be bold, right? Life is short, right? So decide what you want to do and do it.
Yeah, I love that. I learned early on that if you're just waiting around for something to happen, it's not going to happen. You've got to be the leader of your own journey, right? And you have to find those people that you want to help bring on that journey, whether it be in a mentor-mentee capacity. You never know when the person's going to be a friend. You never know what that person's going through either. And so I think that, Scott's advice about reaching on LinkedIn, I would just echo that and say, go to user groups, go in real life. I know we love this virtual thing, and I know it's kind of a new normal, so to speak, but there is so much value in sitting down with a real human. And if nothing else, just being like, hey, how's it going? Like just talking, I would say user groups around your area, traveling to some of those events as well. Some of the dreaming events are incredible. Witness Success is one of my favorite events. Like it's just the vibe in there I can never explain. And just go to those things. If nothing else, if you're not looking to get anything else out of it, you get to meet one more person that at least you have one thing in common because you like Salesforce, or you have two things in common because you like Salesforce and something else now. And those bonds happen naturally. And so they don't have to be, it doesn't have to be a formal mentor-mentee relationship. It can just be like, hey, I just need to pick your brain. And that's okay. And that's where you can start.
I
Yeah.
think along with what she just said, let's think about that and drop back to like high school. How many of us were actually mentored in high school? And you would say, well, no, I didn't actually have a mentorship program, but you probably did. As you came in as a freshman, you immediately started looking up to upperclassmen, and you tried to get to the feel and the navigation of the campus, right? And you're just like, well, how do you do this? How do you become like a senior here? And you can do the same thing in the ecosystem. Just start watching people and emulating them. And then, eventually, probably as you hang around them a little bit, a friendship will emerge. And many friendships are actually, disguised mentorship programs. I mean, I am really good friends with Steve Simpson, but I haven't, he's mentoring me, but I haven't officially said, hey, Steve, let's shake hands here. We're in a mentorship relationship. He knows that he's helping and leading me, and you were in that relationship. Same thing happened in high school. Immediately, I came on campus as a freshman and I joined cross country track. I met some seniors that were there, and we built a friendship, and they're like, yeah, they helped me on my track. So it's a natural thing that humans love to do. And I think her advice is just get out there, right? People can sense your energy. They can sense your needs in person a lot easier than, on LinkedIn or whatever. So just get to a group and sit down and, just meet people.
I think that's such great advice. I know Talent Stacker also hosts groups and get-togethers occasionally. I've been to the world tours where I've met many people who are, like Scott said, just willing to chat with you. And you don't have to have the handshake of, yes, you're my mentor now. It could be one conversation where you ask a question and they give you some advice, and then you connect on LinkedIn and just follow their journey. But the advice could be gold. So yeah, I absolutely love that. Thank you, guys. Um, I'm also not going to pretend that I have all the questions or the answers because I don't. So I would love to open it up to anybody on the call. If you have any questions for our stellar mentors, I know Anita's also here. Bradley is here. There are some very smart and experienced people in the room, we'll say right now. So does anybody have anything specific that they would like to ask? You can come off mute or you could type it in the chat.
I was a little late to the party. I started listening to like the podcast. I think I was listening to one of the podcasts I got a notification for about this whole mentorship program. So I submitted my application last week or the week before, I think. And I'm assuming that I would have heard by now if I was going to be in I think it's February is the next cohort. Now, if I don't get into that February cohort, but I'm obviously still interested in being part of the mentorship program, do I need to reapply for the next cohort, or is my application kind of saved on file?
Yeah, no, this is a great question. Thank you so much. Like I said, I'm the one that does all the back end, so I can answer this for you. We have not yet done our acceptance for February. That is on my calendar beginning next week on Monday. We kind of do it the last week of the previous month. So that'll be Monday. January has been very long. So that's coming up. You will get an email either way for anyone that has applied, saying you are either accepted or the cohort is full. Like I said, we get 400 maybe applicants, and we have some wonderful mentors, but we just can't accept everyone. If you get the email that says that you have not been accepted due to capacity, then you are welcome to apply again. We will send out a reminder email as it gets closer. We run our cohorts every 2 months approximately. We take off for the holiday usually in December, but every 2 months. So you will get a little reminder that says if you're still interested in looking for a mentor, please reapply. That goes into our backlog, and we will do the same process again about the last week of whatever that month is. That's 2 months away, and you can do the math.
Perfect. Thank you.
All good. Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions that they are dying to ask?
I think I'm going to make a question for everybody, and there's actually going to be no answer for this question. But I think as we start looking into AI and what AI is going to bring, I'm sure you guys are all seeing the amazing things that ChatGPT can do. I talk to it now daily for like an hour. My little chat, I've even given it a nickname. There's just so many opportunities to get that knowledge. But I want us to explore why mentorship might become more valuable than ever. What is the value? If knowledge is everywhere, what's the value of human relationships? Why do we need them? What's the purpose of humans? And I just think that you can reflect on that. You know, there's really no answer, but it's just something we've been kind of diving into at Cactus Force and Architect Dreaming. I mean, we're in a situation that literally you're going to have, you know, an AI on your phone that literally knows everything about Salesforce. You could just ask it and it will tell you, but not necessarily is it going to have a way to explain it the right way or to be able to understand your perspective and where you're coming at in life. It's kind of like what Anna and I were both saying, that our answers are never the same per person. We need to get to know the person. We need to really get a perspective of what they've been through their description and then apply it. And that's pretty hard for AI to do. So that's my question. There's really not an answer. I just kind of reflected on it. I've been asking myself that question. So.
I think that's a great question. I think, excuse me, that we can all reflect. As I see there are questions coming into chat with thank you very much, but I'm going to toss it to Bradley for a moment, as it looked like some people have to leave at the midway mark. And we do want to announce, as you teased before, some of our new awards in the ecosystem. So we will get back to the questions, definitely. But Bradley, take it away.
Amazing. Thank you. Number one, great conversation. For anyone who's got to leave, like on at least my behalf, Steph, Scott, Anna, like incredible. Like I'm impressed. I'm blown away. So thank you guys. As I said before, thank you to all of the mentors that make the mentorship platform possible. Like Steph said, it's voluntary, right? Like these are people who have, and I'm going to speak now about sort of our Ohana Hero Awards, but also about the mentors in general. And you have to consider the mentors that make this platform possible are people who have had some level of success in their careers, right? They've done the thing that so many of us are aspiring to do. And at Talent Stacker, my entire mission for the last 5+ years and longer before Talent Stacker has been helping people break into entry-level jobs, especially, but just to find success in their careers so that they're not living to design a life that works for their job. And instead they're creating and designing a job that works for their life so they can live their values and what they want to do. And the job fits into it. And we can sort of, adjust it a little bit and do what we need to do, work remotely, have autonomy, maybe select our hours a little bit, maybe do part-time or freelancing instead of whatever else. And I love that that's possible. So people have accomplished that, right? These mentors. And instead of just going, I did it, I won the game, I'm going to go out here and keep the best kept secret ever and just keep it to myself. And I've literally had people give me that feedback. When I looked at starting Talent Stacker, I had coworkers around me. I had other freelancers, other entrepreneurs, other consultancy owners, other professionals. And trust me, there were so many people who said, Brad, do you really want to go out here telling everybody about Salesforce careers? There's a reason you're in demand. There's a reason you get paid what you get paid. There's a reason you have the opportunities you have. And it's because everybody doesn't know about it. Right. And that just didn't speak to me. That didn't resonate with me. And I figured, hey, look, worst case scenario, we get out here, we all get paid a little bit less, but we all have better jobs and better lives for it. Then let's do it and let's all enjoy this thing. So that's been the goal. And that is what I believe is that theme, that goal that resonates with these mentors. They are not the type of people who want to achieve success and then run forward and see how far they can get and leave everyone else as far behind as they possibly can. It's the exact opposite. They are achieving success, and the first thing they do is turn around and say, how can I help you? I made it. How can I help you now? And I think I speak for most of the mentors, if not all, when I say my favorite thing as a mentor is when I slingshot somebody past me. And that is exactly what I want to happen for everyone that I mentor. I want my finish line to be your starting line. That is my goal. So everything I've learned, everything I've achieved, everything I've done, I want you to start there. And then you're going to be teaching me things as soon as you move forward. And you are just going to blow past me because your momentum is so much stronger than mine, right? Because you got it all in this comprehensive shell, and then you just shoot forward into your career. And I think that's a really, that's how I know that I'm doing my part, is when I'm not an MVP, but my students are. When I never made that much money, but my students do. When they start a consultancy 2 years into their career and it took me 7, right? I know that I'm doing something right. So I will stop with my monologue, and I'll actually tell you who our first iteration of Ohana Heroes are. I've got a little thing to the side, so forgive me for not making eye contact with this camera. So the Ohana Hero Award we are introducing, this is for individuals from 2024. And our goal was to create an award for the Salesforce community that was fully transparent, that anyone could achieve, that was not based on a vote or anything else, and that if you knew what the criteria was, you can achieve it and you can do it too. And we wanted people to know why someone was an Ohana hero. Like if you go to one of the people I'm about to mention, you know why they're celebrated with that award, and you know what you can expect from someone who has received that award. And it's going to be support, and it's going to be the type of person who wants to slingshot you past them. They will not gatekeep. They will not tell you what you can't do. They will help you achieve what they have done and more. So what I have written here is this award is given to mentors who go above and beyond to support mentees in the community. Our community would not be what it is today without these experts. And make sure to connect with these people because they are going to be a tremendous support to you, even if you never talk to them one-on-one. Just seeing them, surrounding yourself by that mentality is going to push you forward. So I'm going to announce these individuals. Some of them are here with us. Some of them are not. If you're here, you are welcome to unmute, say hello. I'm sure other people would love to get to meet you and see you for a moment. And these are individuals who supported, if I recall, I did not write the criteria down. We have it. These are individuals who supported over 6 mentees in 1 year. And they went above and beyond just mentoring mentees. They are members of our community. They're going way beyond, like Steph was saying, we recommend 4 sessions across 4 weeks for a month in order to facilitate this. And that's largely to facilitate the platform, right? But what happens is some of these people, they will be your mentor for years to come. You can reach out and they will always respond. And maybe it takes a day and maybe it takes a week, but they get back to you because they care. And these are the 6. I'll finally get to it. Shaniqua Fields is our first Ohana hero. So thank you, Shaniqua. I believe I saw you in the chat. Whenever I saw your chat, it said your camera wasn't working. But Shaniqua is an incredible person. Make sure to follow her on LinkedIn. I just always see so much like positivity and inspiration from Shanika was she's always shouting out her mentees and lifting them up. She uses her voice to bring them forward. And it's just incredible. It's just incredible. Next on the list, Bobby Ray Hurd. I saw Bobby a couple of times popping in and out. I know he's probably hard at work as well. Again, one of those individuals who you will constantly see just constant positivity. He's always got a fun, uplifting angle he's coming at things from. I believe he's got like this heavy metal rock star LinkedIn profile is the last one I saw, which is, it's just approachable and enjoyable to interact with. So thank you, Bobby. Yodit McLean. I don't know if you're here with us today, but guys, go check her out. Also, trailblazermentorship.com. If you just scroll down a little bit, everyone's name, face, you can click on their picture, go to their LinkedIn, check them out there. Again, another individual who is just, again, we're talking 6+ mentees in 1 year. That's no easy lift, right? That's consistency. That is every other month taking on a new mentee. And again, a lot of times these mentors are mentoring person after person after person. And so they may have a whole stack of mentees that, yes, they're giving, but they also feel a little bit of responsibility for. Like, I want to help you. I said I would help you. I'm going to be here for you. Next up, as someone that you guys all have gotten to hear from today, Anna Schaefer. Thank you so much, Anna. Obviously, if you haven't noticed, she knows her stuff. Same thing. And you're going to see consistency across these individuals using her voice, her platform, the fact that we all listen to her and would like to hear from her, using that to lift up her mentees, to lift up the community, to give incredible advice constantly on LinkedIn. I don't think I've read a post where I'm not like, that's so insightful. Like, that is really great encouragement. That is really good advice. Next up, Sandeep Shrivastava. I believe I did see you here with us, Sandeep. I think you introduced yourself and said, hey, from India. So thank you very much. Yeah, go ahead, chime in.
From India. It's a very late night, so
And so as you can see, obviously, even on a late night, going to come hang out and make sure to have that voice in the community and be part of our community. So thank you so much for that. And last, but obviously not least, Scott Stafford, thank you. If you have not seen this guy on LinkedIn, it's because you have not been on LinkedIn. I think he's a time traveler. He also knows how to teleport because he is at every event. He's somehow at multiple events on the same day. So we're watching you. I think you're pulling off that Hermione Granger trick. Whatever it is, you're knocking it down. And we so appreciate you, Scott, in so many ways. So thank you so much. And those are our 6 inaugural, if you will, Ohana heroes for the Salesforce community. Thank you so much for all that you do. And we are off into 2025. As Steph mentioned, a new cohort is going to be announced next week. We'll have mentees coming in for the February cohort. And once again, we will be watching another group of Ohana heroes emerge as we go through 2025. So thank you all. I'll pass it back to you, Steph.
Awesome. Thank you. And congratulations to everybody. And thank you for giving us the opportunity to have this platform. Without mentors, then I don't have anything to do because I can't match anybody together. So it's so beautiful. And thank you for being here on this call, especially, I know, Sandeep, it's very late for you in India. Like Bradley said, it just speaks to how dedicated our mentors are, and we just appreciate that so much. There were a few questions. Yes, awesome. There were a few questions in the chat. Actually, first, do any of the mentors want to say anything who are not Anna and Scott? Although if you have more to say, feel free. But does anybody have anything they'd like to share? Any advice? Anything? Okay, if not, that's also fine. We'll jump to the questions. Ella also wrote, it wasn't uncommon for my mentor to introduce me to others that could further assist me, which I also can echo. My mentor would say, you should be connected with somebody. You know, Scott often is big on that too. Oh, you should know this person if that's what you're looking for. It's fantastic. So she called it sub-mentored by other mentors that had been referred, which is just so fun. Zach was asking, do you have any advice for someone trying to break into the ecosystem after being laid off in 2023 in the layoff crunch? It was a first Salesforce job. He was there for about 1.5 years. And the job market is crazy. I feel like we've been saying that for the past 5 or so years, but it's a different crazy every time we say it again. He's currently working on the app builder cert, but isn't really sure where to go. And I know we did talk about how advice is very personal, but if there's any general anything that you could give or people to direct to for sub mentoring, which I think we should coin as a new phrase, do you have anything to share for that?
I
I
can
think
run all day with general advice. And I will say, who was it that asked that? Was it Zach? Zach, I have seen on LinkedIn. He's doing the right thing from a networking perspective. Hopefully, you're still on the call. But so the one thing is, I noticed you reposted a video that I posted, I believe yesterday, Zach, and that's one piece, right? So you're on the right track. Is that the whole job search strategy? I call it the SWAT team approach. Like, we don't apply for jobs. We don't take no for an answer. We get the attention of the hiring managers, and they can either block us or talk to us. And what they choose is up to them. Now, that's my approach, right? And my advice is just one person's advice. Like, keep that in mind. So if that is not comfortable for you, that's okay. But that's sort of my game, is that if you are serious and you're someone like Zach, you've got 18 months of was it 18 months laid off or 18 months of experience? Either way, you've got experience, you've got the admin certification, you're on a call like this, you are actively participating in the community, you are top talent. You are top talent. And if you don't know that, then know it now. And if you don't think you deserve the next opportunity, you do. And so that's the mentality I think that we have to embody, is that level of confidence to what, and people feel that, like Scott said earlier, people feel your energy, right? And if you come in and you look like tail between your legs, you're not really sure, you're kind of feeling beat down by what's, and that is a fair reality. But when it comes to performance time, right? The elevator pitch, shaking hands at the conference, the interview, the LinkedIn DM, the response on a comment, how you present yourself, even in something as simple as a post on LinkedIn. I always say that every interaction is an interview, because you don't know if that post is the one that the person who was just about to put a job posting up is going to see, and they decide not to put that job posting up and instead DM you real quick and just see if that might be a fit. You have no idea if the person DMing you to say, hey, it's good to be connected with you, is actually feeling out a few people for an opportunity and they're looking to connect with you, right? So treat every interaction, especially professional, these professional interactions when you're networking professionally, as an interview. So what's the reality of it? Now, you've got the admin certification. I would say somebody with a year of experience, we would typically expect in the hiring world to have more than one certification. I think especially this year with the AI associate and the AI specialist certifications being free, so we can't excuse ourselves because of whatever reason, financial or this or that. It's really just time and energy. AI associate, you can pass that in definitely less than 10 hours of prep. AI specialist is a tougher certification. I don't personally have it, but I've seen people that I respect saying, hey, that's not a walk in the park. So getting that AI associate and AI specialist is going to speak volumes to the current market. It just shows that you're present with what's going on, what the trends are, what the headlines are saying, all these kind of things. So Platform App Builder, another great certification that you mentioned. I would personally knock off AI Associate because you can do it this weekend and get that out of the way. That certification perspective. And I always try to tell people that, at least in Talent Stacker, we have what we call 6 pillars that kind of put everything together. Certifications are one of 6 pillars. So do not hyperfixate on certifications. When you're moving forward, job search strategy matters a ton. I noticed, I'm not picking on you, I noticed you had about 200 connections on LinkedIn, right? You mentioned you've been laid off for 18 months and that you were in a Salesforce career for a number of months or even possibly a year or so before that. So when we look at a grand total of, say, over 30 months of being present in the Salesforce community and 200 connections, LinkedIn is a social platform. I get that people don't like social. It's also a professional networking platform. And it also has an algorithm, like most platforms. When you have 200 connections, a post, a comment, a like, a repost reaches a certain audience. When you have 10,000 connections, and 10,000, I know it sounds like a lot, but after 3 years in the ecosystem, we're talking, maybe 20 new connections a day just by posting and asking people to connect. You're talking 600 a month, right? So now we're up to 7,200 a year, 3 years in the ecosystem, 21,000 wouldn't be crazy, right? So consistency, getting that voice out, requesting to connect with people. They don't have to be your friend. We're just connecting, right? Like everybody always just accepts the connection request, at least most people. So don't feel like you've got to be their buddy. Those are the advices I would give you generally. Like Scott, Anna, Steph have said, like everything is nuance. There's always nuance. But generally speaking, network like crazy, maybe get another certification or two, be picky with the ones that you get. And when you apply for jobs, do not apply. People say it's a numbers game. It is not a numbers game. You do not apply for 1,000 jobs. If you get a job that way, it will be the worst job because it'll be the company that also thinks that applying is a numbers game. So you want to land with a company that you relate to, they resonate with you, your vibes, kind of pass each other. You have that ability to connect through a couple of interviews, maybe 3 or 4, like we've seen in the ecosystem, and you've had an opportunity to fill each other out. That's where you want to be. And that's really where everyone wants to be. You want a company that's not going to lay you off a year later or 6 months later because it wasn't a good fit. You want a company that you fit with and you're there for the right reasons. And so when you apply for jobs, I know you saw that video. If you guys haven't seen it, I'm going to shut up now, but it's called the SWAT team approach. And it's basically just how you do more than apply to make sure that people see you when you're interested in working for their company.
That was gold. Go ahead, Scott.
Bradley. Something else that I do is I actually don't apply for jobs per se that are listed somewhere. You just kind of like remember when you were working last time, and you probably felt very confident. I'm sure we've all reflected on, hey, I want to get a job while I'm working because you could just feel how confident and how I'm owning my position. So I want you to get in that mindset and then just take a time to think of what do you want to do and reach out to people that they're not even hiring. Just say, hey, can we get on a call? I want to make a proposition here. So I wanted, a new position. I just reached out to Sergi and said, hey, let's do this. There was no job opening. It was just my idea. And he said, yeah, let's do that. So many of my positions have come up that way. It's an authentic conversation. It might not work. There might not be synergy, but there might be. So just be bold. You don't always have to just keep hitting those, LinkedIn things and putting that big dedicated, all the things you need to do to make an application. You can just simply say, hey, I want to work for this company. Is there somebody I know? And ask them, say, hey, can we jump on a call? Let's flesh out and see if we have some synergy. It works for me. I just thought I'd add that.
I think that's absolutely great between what Bradley and Scott said. I mean, that's how it works. That's the advice you need to take, and that's what you got to do. And it does work. And I know it takes a while. It took me over a year between committing to I'm going to work in Salesforce to finding the job in Salesforce, but it happens. I can also share kind of as Scott was talking about, when I got my position, I did see an opening. There was a posting and I applied, obviously. And then I did go to LinkedIn and I looked up anybody and everybody that worked there and might have Salesforce in their title or not, hiring manager, HR, anybody. And I just started sending connection requests. And one of them, as I was sending the message, they were posting, hey, there's an opening on my team. And I didn't see that message because I was already writing to them. And so after I sent the message, I was like, oh, I hit the right person and maybe they will answer. And they did. And we met informally with no pressure, not an interview. And I found out later that after that informal conversation, they went to their boss and said, this is the one. So figure it out, make it happen.
It's an interview. So it's always an interview because you're building that connection with that person. And to your point, going after those individuals who are on LinkedIn and LinkedIn makes it I know networking isn't fun for everyone, right? But LinkedIn has made it as easy as possible today, right? We can go on LinkedIn, we can look up the company we just applied for, and then we can literally look at a list of people who work there on LinkedIn. It's kind of creepy, but it's also awesome if you're looking for a job, right? And so you go down that list, they're hiring for a reason. There's a pain point at that company. They don't drum up a job description, allocate budget, figure out what they need to fill the role, line up people to take time away from their jobs to interview individuals and review resumes. they do that for a reason because there is a need at that company, right? So when you go down that people list on LinkedIn and you start nudging people, I'll put it that way. You don't DM them and say, give me a job, give me a job, give me a job. You start nudging them. Hey, happy to be connected, blah, blah, blah. You will eventually bump the right person who's like, they're the person that's in pain. They're the person that's like, I can't get any of my projects done. I can't get the work done. The sales users are hurting. The support users are hurting. Management's breathing down our necks. We can't get our workload done. We need this position filled. And now HR might be over here checking out who applied on the website, who applied on LinkedIn. We'll check in a couple of weeks and see how many people have applied and this and that. And that person who's in pain is like, I don't want to look at a stack of 1,000 resumes. I want to talk to you. Hello, can you chat? So again, sorry to cut you off, Steph, but it's just, that is how the synergy comes together. That is how networking becomes real life and has an impact. It's not every connection. It's the one connection that the right nudge leads to the end result.
Yep.
And to bring it back to mentoring a little bit, I know that is just one more connection that we then create in this giant ecosystem world, right? You know, knowing Scott, if Scott has a friend that has that pain and they are complaining to Scott, he's got mentees that he might be perfect, might not, but might be perfect. So really having all those connections out there and creating that web, I think of it as my little web of people that I know, and it goes out pretty far now, having been here a while. And it touches a lot of big names that I might not be able to just DM myself, but Anna could because they're a connection of hers. So I think that's really awesome. And it's just one more great thing that comes from the mentorship relationship.
I have a question on that. If I can jump in with the question.
Sure, please.
Great. So I'm from Melbourne, Australia. So jumped on this call quite early. I was wondering, and it's a question to the mentors. Thank you very much for sharing your time and being here. And I'm part of the Melbourne community group here in Salesforce, very new to it. And obviously, you know, fingers crossed that I will get an opportunity with the February cohort. But aside from that, walking up to someone and sort of talking and saying, hey, can I have some of your time, can be daunting and, you know, confronting, and you don't want to put them out. As mentors, like obviously you want to give your time and help people. What's the best way and what's the best sort of, I don't want to say pitch because it's not a sales pitch, but, you know, obviously if you establish a relationship, what's the best way to sort of ask someone, or that you've been asked, hey, can you be my mentor?
It's a great question. Yeah, I would say first, know that you have value, regardless of what it is, whatever value each one of us as a human has some sort of value. It could be different. It could be that you're great at, you know, videos, but you have no idea about how to, you know, use that in part of your transition to Salesforce, right? So I would say understand your value. And some of the best people that just kind of slid into my DMs were able to articulate the value that they potentially could bring, or what they were looking for, wherever that is. So being able to be very comfortable in saying, hi, this is who I am, and this is what I've done already, and here's where you could, you know, help me. Is this something that you could help with? And then in return, whatever that is, it could be something small, it could be something large. Being able to go through that and form that connection, that's what I've seen the best people that were willing to put in the work do. And for me, it's just first off, you know that you have value. It's not you're walking up to somebody and saying, hey, I need your time. Maybe the wrong way to look at it. It's saying, well, how do we interact? What's the next step? And for you to know, like, because there's something inside of you that you can offer them. You just don't know it yet. And it's a relationship, right? It's give and take. It's not just one directional. So I would just say, so, you know, think about yourself in the mirror, talk to yourself and go through that whole, you know, who am I? What experiences do I have and how do I transfer them into this new industry? And start there. You'll get a lot further that way.
That's really good advice.
Yeah, I would agree with her. Always think about in relationships, there's an exchange of value between everything, between you and your dog, between anything, and try and think about what is the value you can bring. And it could be something unique. You might have, you know, be sitting next to me, but you know how to tie a bracelet like I have on here. I'd be like, that's cool. You know, thank you. You can teach me how to do that. And I'll give you, you know, some advice. I'm going to do. There's always a fun exchange of value. It also could be a smile. You know, a lot of times I'm in a conference and the exchange of value is I see someone that looks uncomfortable and I just go, And they're like, we just started something. They're like, you just made me feel comfortable. I'm like, okay. Now, they're going to return that in some other way. So there's the possibility for exchange of value very easily.
Love it. That's really good advice. Thank you.
I see there's also some question in the chat and some discussion. It looks like Bradley maybe was answering. I don't want to know if we want to speak to it, or our mentors have any comments about, I struggle with this too, when you're in an interview and they ask you, oh, why do you want to work for our company? Which I will be honest, I just asked someone in an interview and I really wanted to know what their answer was so that I could copy it. But what kind of advice would you give there? There's millions of companies to work for. Kind of why this one?
My answer is probably
yeah.
going to be different on that than everybody's, because I don't traditionally just apply for a job off of like job openings. So I usually was out, in my case, it's usually out jogging. And I said, I'm really resonating with, maybe right now it's like T-Mobile. And I'm like, I would really like an opportunity to work or do something for them. And so it's really easy for me to, kind of articulate, hey, this is what I was thinking, and this is what I want to do. But I would probably say, though, if you're just blanketly turning in applications, make sure that you're mindful. Don't waste your time. Take the time to look at the job you want. Say, do I really want to work there? Do a little bit of research. And then I would almost limit it down. My own advice would just choose 10 and then just go all out. I mean, just say, these are the 10 I want. Print them out, put them on your bed, and then find the connections. I think you have a pretty good shot if you really dedicate it to get one of the 10.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And I think that this quote resonates with me on that is, the worst thing you can do is solve problems that you don't care about.
Yeah.
So you have to figure out exactly what industry, what problems you want to solve. Is it nonprofit? What do you want to do? And then find companies that resonate with that, because that way you can actually answer that question honestly. Be passionate about those problems that you're looking to solve. It's not just you want to solve a problem. It's which problems, how do you want to make an impact, right? And so that's where that question becomes honest. And it doesn't have to be a pitch. It's really how you truly feel.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think, go ahead.
That really works for me too, because I'm always thinking that the hardest part is not putting in the work. It's not finding the resources. It's deciding what you want to do next. For me, the hardest part wasn't all the studying I did to get the application certification. It was me finally deciding, oh, this is what I want to do. And I had to go through a process and say, hey, this is exactly what I really want. And then it was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. So it's just being really convinced that, hey, I really want to work for this company or in this industry, really know why, right? Think about it and then make it happen.
Yeah, I was going to piggyback on that. And I'll say that's great advice. I love I'll call it approach or strategy there. I'll pull back just a little bit because I do agree with you both, but I'll pull back and give a little bit different angle. I know some people just getting to the point of industry or the specific I'm interested in and that kind of thing can be difficult. It's sort of a creative thought process that gets you there. And sometimes we're not all like open to that creativity at the same time. And you might say the advice might be, okay, well, you need to get creative and you need to sit down and think it through. And that could be true. And I think that's solid advice. Now, if that's not where you're at, and I saw somebody in the comments say, I don't really have a specific background. I don't really have a specific industry I'm going for. I don't really know. I'm not feeling a passion for a certain thing. You know what I mean? So I think at that point you have to look at what you're applying for, right? Like Scott was saying, and like I believe I said as well, like don't just go apply. Like that's crazy work. Like apply for a solid, I would say if you're in full application mode, you've got the certifications you need, you feel like you've got the hands-on experience that you need, like of course continue to maintenance those things that you know and that you want to continue to be able to speak to. But now you're sort of in job application and interview prep phase of this, because if you get into the second phase and you've got the admin cert and you've been networking, and then you move into the second phase and now you try to network, interview prep, job search, and work on another certification all at the same time, you are bound to either burn yourself out or do everything poorly, right? Because if you do a little bit of everything, you're going to end up doing nothing. And so I would say my typical, again, generic advice is once you've got admin, like while you get admin certification, be networking on LinkedIn at the same time at a minimum. Once you have gotten admin certified, I would not rush the next certification. I would focus on networking, hands-on experience, like really feeling like there's something I can put onto my resume or my portfolio, LinkedIn profile, building up that like I do have experience. And then when you get those questions, like tell me about a project that you're proud of, tell me about something that you struggled with, tell me about something about Salesforce that excites you, a functionality that you wish was better, all those kind of questions. You can speak to it from a hands-on perspective. And as you go apply for jobs, and people will tell you, people in this room right now will tell you that applying for jobs can be a full-time job, right? You can sit there and then it's like, oh, but I just got advice to get, the advice I just gave. I just got advice to get AI associate and maybe also platform app builder and also to network and get a mentor. And now you just told me that applying for jobs is a full-time job. And it's like, what am I supposed to do? Because also I've got a job, I've got kids, I've got aging parents, whatever your situation is, right? So I think if it were me and I was going in generically, I would say when someone reaches out to you or if like you're applying for a job and you see it and you're like, ooh, that's a good fit. They want admin certification. Hey, they're in a local metro area that's local to me. Maybe it's a remote job, but that's still a nice connection point that I'm local to you. I could come in for a company event. I could come in for a celebration situation, whatever it is to get to know people, have a coffee chat or a after hours get together kind of thing. And when you can try to find the connection, right? So when you see the job description that's like, hey, that's a good one. I think I'm a fit for that. Now go deeper. Is there more that I can find connections, that I can find resonance around? And when you see them on LinkedIn or you see them, the company posting or people from the company posting or something you notice on the website, whatever it is, you can typically draw connections because humans are so unique, but we're also so similar, right? We have so many similarities and so many uniquenesses. We're bound to be able to find so many similarities. We're from the same area. We went to the same school. We grew up in the same locale. I saw that you posted about this. This is who your product serves. I actually had an aunt that needed a product like that and it changed her life. This is the service you offer. My mom actually used a service like that and it really made an impact for our family. And that's why I'm leaning in this direction, right? So you can find those connections. And even if you have to sort of like butter the bread, if you will, a little bit, you can do that, right? Like you're trying to get a job, you're trying to get in. And then once you're in that power position and you've got the job, then you can start getting really creative about like, oh, I love Marketing Cloud. Oh, I love Sales Cloud. Oh, I love Agentforce and what's happening with AI. And now you can come from that power position and start to really take yourself and go, you know what? I want to work for those two companies right there that I see. Dream job. And now I'm going to make it my job to work my job at my Salesforce job that I landed. And I'm going to keep working those two companies until I get a job offer from one of them, because that's where I really want to be. And let me tell you, whatever you think your dream job is today, whether it's me or Anna or Scott, maybe I can't speak for them, but I will say it doesn't matter if you're getting your first job and you're like, I just dream of getting a Salesforce job. I landed my dream job. And then we had a member who landed a job at Snapchat and they were like, what? Like dream job? This is crazy. Moved him out to LA, paid all the expenses, incredible life transformation, right? And then they were there for about 18 months and they were like, not dream job. And they landed a job at a small nonprofit. They got paid about 70% of what they were getting paid. They moved out to middle of nowhere and they were like, this is amazing. This is my dream job. So I would just say, as with anything, until you experience it firsthand, your dream is a dream, and then you accomplish that dream and a new dream emerges. So just know that the finish line is probably not there. And then once you cross the finish line, you're going to see some new starting lines to sort of figure out where you want to go from there. So my advice is typically when you're landing that first job, get in there, right? Get in there, find a way to get into a company, even if you have to butter the bread a little bit. And then from there, you can discover what your next dream might be.
I love that. I love the concept of a finish line actually being a starting line or showing you more starting lines. And yeah, it's great. Fantastic advice from all of our wonderful mentors, from Bradley, whose idea this was so long ago that we're finally able to bring to fruition. Thank you to everybody for coming to the call. I assume we're going to wrap up as we have passed 4 here, at least in this time zone. And I appreciate everybody for coming here. If you were on the recording, thanks for joining us there. And thank you all for your time, and congratulations to our newest inaugural Ohana Heroes.
Hi everyone. I want to say thank you, Bradley and Talentistica team, for providing this wonderful environment. If anyone is facing issue to jump in the Salesforce ecosystem, or if anyone facing the clear the any Salesforce interview, so any guys connect with me directly. I will try to help you.
Amazing. Thank you, Sandy. You've been incredible. Obviously, that's why we're all here today. Thank you to all the mentors. Obviously, Scott, Anna, Steph, you make this possible. Like, if we haven't celebrated you, please take a moment to, I would say, be proud of yourself. I'm just, it's a pleasure to work with you and get to make this all possible. I mean, if it wasn't for Steph, wasn't for the mentors, wasn't for the mentees, none of this is possible. It really is the community that brings all of this together. Without this community from all angles, it doesn't happen. So we're doing this together. So thank you, everyone. And we will catch you. Yeah.
One last
And thank
question.
you.
If you guys get some of the merch, either it's Trailblazer Mentorship, you'll be surprised that all I do to make some connections is I go into a conference wearing this hat, and I swear, I could just go put this and meet 5 people. They're going to be just wearing a hat. So if you want to say, like, I'm shy, you don't have to even talk. Just grab it, buy a hat, or, put on something, and people are going to, if it's just a Trailblazer jacket, that's not going to spark a conversation. Everybody has it. Wear this hat, and everybody's going to say, what's that? And you're like, okay, we can now start a conversation. It's just a thought.
Love it. So awesome.
All right. We're getting out of here, guys. Enjoy your Salesforce journeys.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Namaste, everyone.